Welcome to the Miami Heat Beat podcast. I'm your host today, Franky G. For the last edition of DraftBeat, we're going to do it to them one more time, guys. The fans want it. I want it. Last time we're going out here.
It feels like the draft. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. Draft. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. It feels like the draft.
Thank you. That was our last time doing it for the foreseeable future. With me today, my co-host on DraftBeat. He's lighting the sign today. Coach Lu, Saucy Takes.
Oh, man, the sign remains lit today, everybody. It remains. We have recovered. Well, I from several things, but...
I like it. We have a very, very special guest. You know him as Jack Alfonso, but the world knows him as guy just went viral for shitting on Bronny James with the tweet. Mavericks Maven himself, Kel'El Ware enthusiast, Jack. Weird Alf. What's going on, bro?
Doing good. I'm just swinging here. Go Hoosiers. Go Arizona. I'm sorry to the Bronze stands out there. I didn't mean it. My phone died like right after sending that tweet, and I'm sorry. I apologize to the James family. I apologize to the Lakers organization. And I apologize to the city of Cleveland and the surrounding area.
As you should, coward. We have a very exciting day. Heat have made their second round pick today. I was so mad that it was such an early draft. The draft ended right when I got off work. What the hell? We're going to talk about everybody they picked today, what they did. But first, we wanted to bring on Jack. Nobody was more enthusiastic about this pick. The whole process, this was Jack's guy. He's a supremely biased Hoosiers fan. There's nobody more biased in the media, any sports, politics, nobody more biased than Jack Alfonso when it comes to Hoosiers basketball. But we wanted to talk a little about Kel'El Ware, especially Lu here, because Lu, if you heard last night's pod or if you joined us on Playbackers or on Twitch, Lu was not a fan at all about this pick. Lu, after a night's rest, how do you feel?
I'm gonna be very honest, man. Everybody who doesn't like Kel'El Ware, don't worry. Jack Weird Alf is here to talk us off the ledge. He talked me off the ledge yesterday. I was able to sleep on the selection. I understood what they were going for. Clearly, the athleticism, wouldn't have been my first choice. I do think I went back. Actually, I rewatched 2 more games. Just for Weird Alf and for, DraftBeat sakes. I wouldn't say effort is as much of a concern as his rebounding positioning being really bad, but I will say discipline is an issue and his defensive processing is a real issue, at least for Spoelstra to trust him big minutes. But with that being said, ridiculous athlete shows up on tape and he fucks up so much that, not fucks up so much, but when he does fuck up, his length makes up for a lot of the fuck ups just because he's 7'1". So he's like a big ball of clay. It might be Play-Doh, it might be high quality, but we shall find out what we can make.
The crowd wants to hear it, Jack. Any skeptics, any doubters? Why is Kel'El Ware the best pick the Miami Heat could have selected at the 15th?
Look, I went back and forth with both of y'all. And then this morning with John Jablanca and some other people who were more skeptical of the pick. And I don't think the pick is like so amazing that it should be immune to skepticism because it is that kind of pick. It's a boom or bust pick. And like, I totally agree that there are questions about his processing that do kind of, I guess, make him look lazy sometimes because he's like slow to a, like his spot on defense. And then I think the lower body strength is the biggest concern for me, in terms of like establishing his positioning and being able to like do the things he needs to be able to do. Like, we're watching these clips right now and they're fine, but like, look at that like little white guy for Wisconsin. That's nice and all, but you got to like bulk up a little bit if you're gonna like really take advantage of your touch around the basket there. I think he's got the tools. I don't know if I would say he's definitively the best pick for Miami at 15, but the only other guy who I would really say was in the conversation for me is De Silva. And I think De Silva is a much safer pick and like probably could have contributed more quickly. But I also think it's just a difference in philosophies. And if they like Ware enough, that they're willing to like take a bet on his ability to develop his IQ and to bulk up, like those are things I trust the Heat on. I think I said it before the draft to both of y'all, is like, Ware wouldn't be my obvious Heat choice, but if the Heat pick him, it tells me certain things about him as a prospect that make me like him a lot more as a prospect, because I think the things that the Heat do really well is scout shooting mechanics and like project for like physical development. Like, that's kind of been their bailiwick for a while, is like they're going to get people in the shape that they need to have the best seasons of their NBA career. So like, if Ware is going to put on that like strength anywhere, it's going to be in Miami. If he's going to learn to defend anywhere, it's going to be in with Spo. I think for all of his defensive deficiencies, like, he does have instincts in certain parts of his game that like I think make him not a lost cause. He's so athletic, like you said, he can make up for stuff when he does fuck up. And like, he's not really a fouler, which you would maybe expect from somebody as big as him and who is not like a genius defensively, and still has like plenty of stuff to work out in terms of like developing his body. Like, he doesn't really foul on the perimeter when he gets switched out onto the perimeter. I wouldn't say he's like a Bam type of prospect where he's going to be a switch big, but like, it's kind of nice to have a big that like, above all else, you can maybe trust to stay on the floor. I think the second round pick makes me like it more, because they went upside and then they went safe pick and then they went big and then they went like guard / wing, like swing man. Not that Pelle is anywhere near De Silva or that they're even the same player archetype, but like, if you're looking for a guy with good shoot, and I won't talk about Pelle too much because I'm sure we're going to get into that, but like, that guy does fill a need and he's going to be able to contribute probably quicker than Ware will be able to contribute. So I like the idea of going upside and then safe pick, but also look on the on the Ware skepticism and everything, like on the free throw shooting, which is a legitimate concern. It's weird because Indiana is like, outside of Ware, just a consistently abysmal free throw shooting team, no matter who their personnel is. So like, I do think sometimes it's like a weird coaching thing, but like, not to like absolve him of anything. He wasn't like an exceptional free throw shooter at Oregon either, but he did drop off a little bit at Indiana. And like, that's a concern, especially if you're projecting his shooting. Like you said, that's a big indicator of long-term shooting. But like, think about it like this. If he was like an 80% free throw shooter, I think he goes easily top 10 and he might go top 5. Like, that's the type of athlete this guy is. And that's the type of like touch he has and like passing ability that he has. Like, he is a well-rounded talent for somebody as physically like exceptional as he is, he definitely has a lot of holes in his game. But like that's why he went 15. And like anybody who's going 15 is either going to have a low ceiling or a ton of questions. And I think I just come down on the side of the questions that he has specific to his game. I trust the Heat to have evaluated and like done the risk assessment on that. And like the fact that they like him tells me a lot, I think. But like I'm not gonna like argue with anybody who thinks they should have picked like De Silva, or I would kind of argue with like Collier. Just because like Collier shot, I think, just as bad, if not worse, from the free throw line as Ware. Like, and I think shooting from the guard position is a little more important. Last thing I'll say about this, because I'm rambling, is just I've heard stuff from like Jablanco or others about the fit, and it's a legitimate concern. Like, is he going to be able to play with Bam? Is he going to really be able to play in this Heat offense at all? And it's like he's not going to radically transform the Heat offense because they have significant issues that they need to address in the offseason. If they don't address them, they're screwed. Like they have like an aging roster, and we all know what they need to do in the offseason. There's maybe a couple moves out there. If they make those moves, if they get like a point guard that they can rely on, then I think the fit is pretty good. Like I think, again, not to like bring up Trae Young constantly, but like if they get a Trae Young, I really love this pick because I think he can really thrive with a point guard like that. Like this is another lob threat. You can say the shooting might be a little ways off for Ware, but like the physicality, like the ability to leap is going to be there if he has an elite lob thrower. And the problem at Indiana, or one of the problems at Indiana, was very similar to the Bam problem, where like there was not an Indiana player who could throw a post entry pass. That's a problem. And
he was the guy.
He was the guy. And that's kind of the thing is like, if you look at his efficiency, it's pretty astounding for somebody who cannot hit a free throw and who did not have guard help. Like he is not like a completely raw physical talent. He has a lot of holes and a lot of places to grow, but like he also has just a lot of good skills already that like you don't see that much in players like this. Like the hook shot is, I think, top level. Really beautiful stuff. Like the touch we've talked about endlessly. That's like probably the biggest draw in his game, aside from like just the pure physical athleticism. Like he's not Willie Cauley-Stein. And honestly, like I think the thing that will probably be the first thing to impress Heat fans is just the passing. Like again, not an amazing passer, but like a very
underrated
capable one. And I think he will have a couple of like outlet passes, like some full court passes that like, look, he's not Kevin Love, but are going to kind of shock people a little bit. And I could see like him in summer league either having a couple games where people are like, this is the biggest bust of all time. And then a couple of games where like, they're like, oh, we drafted Wembanyama or whatever, like that's the kind of guy this is right now. And yeah, so a lot of upside, plenty of downside, but ultimately I think I trust the Heat on this one.
Yeah, I like what you said. Yeah, you really, when we talked about this last night, I definitely had concerns. I was very skeptical of the pick, and I still am, frankly. But like you, the upside stuff, there is a lot of question marks. Like the defensive question marks about fitting with Bam are non-existent. Like he fits day one with Bam, because Bam is the most versatile defender in the fucking league. Yeah. Like Bam can play with a drop big. Bam can play with a 6'4" power forward. It doesn't fucking matter. But as on offense is where I have a lot of concerns. But like you said, like if the Heat feel like they can develop the 3-point shooting and get him comfortable on the perimeter, I'll take it. Like this is a real big upside swing because if he hits like 100th percentile and they get him like let's say a Porzingis type level shooter who can at least take 5 threes a game, and take them confidently in rhythm of the offense. That helps a lot. That helps really open it up. And then defensively, like the potential is extremely high with his size and Bam's athleticism together. You get that versatility. You can play them with some other some more size as well. Like I think there's a lot to like there. I'm still really skeptical, but I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. Defensively, I have no worries about it. Like even if he is only a dropper at the level big, with his athleticism and his size, he Spose made a good defense out of Whiteside. I think he could do the same out of this guy. And a lot of his motor questions, he's going to be competing for minutes. He's going to be competing for playing time. Yeah. If Jimmy's here, he will be yelling at him and making sure shit is right. Yeah, you get him in the lab with UD and make sure he's doing all those little hustle things and work ethic things that Miami is known for, to get him right. I feel if they're even if they're not 100% confident in the work ethic and any of the motor issues, I think the skill and the upside is tantalizing, and I can see why they did it. He definitely made a lot more sense than like Yves Missy or
100%.
Zach Edey. Like out of those bigs that they brought in and we talked about, he definitely makes more sense. Lou, has you said you watch a couple more games. What is any of your positive feelings changed?
My positive feelings, no, because I think what I thought about him pre-draft, the revisit. I saw 4 games before I went back. I saw 2 more, and I'm gonna watch another one just to be certain. But after the rewatch, like the positive feelings remain the same. Like I think his best skill is his length, his functional athleticism, and his length. I think he is a phenomenal lob catcher. I think the way he controls his body in the air, even when the passes are bad, he has very, very good touch on. Sometimes they throw him a bad lob. I saw it several times, and he couldn't dunk it, but he's still able to lob and finish, whether it's a lay or he just, basically just lays it. Yeah, just good touch. And one of the other things that really stood out is offensively, I think as long as he's going over his right shoulder and it's a post fade, over his left shoulder and it's a post fade going right, dude, you can fucking count it. Like, and that stuck out to me the first time too. Like his touch on those 10 to 15 foot post fades is really, really good. He needs to bulk up. Like, I'm going to be very honest. His, like, the biggest thing, and that's when, because sometimes it's, now I was watching him with a different lens. Like now I'm watching him like, how can he fit alongside what Miami has? Can he even fit alongside what Miami has? I think my biggest takeaway is I don't think he's going to be posting up bigger guys. The whole, like, he's a 5 thing, I fully agree. He is a center. However, I would not feel comfortable with him guarding bigger centers. I would still rather have Bam in those matchups, just because I did see Dickinson a couple times, just be able to seal him. It's a concern. Like his lower body strength is a concern. The way that he gets boxed out sometimes is a concern. Now, I'm pointing out some of these negatives because I think it's good to like Franky says, I'm skeptical of this pick. I still am. I'm going to root for this kid because, I to what Jack said, like they gave Spoelstra a big ass ball of clay. They gave the Miami Heat a big ass ball of clay with actual size, functional athleticism, and he projects in their eyes. The first thing that Adam Simon said in his interview is he's a 3-and-D center. And that archetype is something we've been searching for. Yeah. I fully agree with that. I fully agree with the second part of that. They have been, if you believe Bam is a 4, there's a very specific 5 that fits alongside him. And that 5 was the guy we had when Myers Leonard was here. Is he better than Myers Leonard? He's a fucking 1,000 times. That's not a high bar, but he is better than Myers Leonard. So, the concern is how much does he play year 1? How much can he bulk up to the point that he doesn't lose some of his functional athleticism, his fluidity, his ability to slip screens is really, really nice. He's really, really quick out of the out of the screen. I wish he was a little bit better in the short roll. I'm going to be honest. Some of the decision making there, like to Jack's point, I think he showcased particularly the game that impressed me, Jack, was the Kansas game. The Kansas game, he sucked offensively. He was not shooting well. It was not his game. And that's what I look for, is like, how can he impact the game? That was his best passing game. He had like 3 or 4 assists, or maybe he should have had 4 or 5. Really good hub in DHOs, was actually setting some good screens off ball, which the first time I watched, it was like he was a ghost setting screens, and is a concern for me as a big. But I started seeing some things from, like, I can see the vision. My concern is how much can he scale up the volume to play alongside Bam?
Right.
From him or Bam, one of them has to come out and shoot threes. And I'm sorry, guys. Maybe I'm a hater. I don't trust Bam to come out and shoot 35% on 4.5, 5 threes next year. Can he do it in 2 years? Absolutely. I'm just talking about next season. I wish he fucking would. I wish he would shut me the fuck up on that. But it's just an unheralded jump. Can Kel'El Ware do it? I hope so too. They believe in it. I think the jumper looks a lot better than the free throw. I think the free throw he has like 17 motions just to get the ball up here, and then he hitches. It's a little funky. His post fade has no hitches. It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. I don't understand it. The versatility at the 5 thing, he's not a pick and pop big. No. I don't think his footwork is there for a pick and pop.
He went like 2 for 10 on pick and pop 3.
I was going to say, yeah. He went 2 for 9 on pick and pop 3s, and you can tell like his footwork is a little clunky. They didn't ask him to do that, so I'm not saying he's not like ever going to be that.
Yeah.
But because he was mid post, low post, lob threat, dunker spot guy. So
15 feet in,
exactly.
Majority of his offense.
Can he expand his game? Absolutely. But for me, the things that kept popping out on tape negatively were obviously the strength, but also defensively. And he did have some moments. The length does make up for some things. I think he has a tendency to not, like, his positioning is a concern sometimes. Mm-hmm. I think his focus is a concern sometimes, which is 2 things that you can fix. I will say that, which it's good. A little bit
Adderall, it'll be good.
Yeah, some Adderall. He's out there cooking, man. But just needs to like hone.
UD knows a guy.
Yeah, for sure. Needs to
if not, Lou does.
No, if not, I got you. But needs to hone in the intangible, the simple things. Stuff. Yeah, the Miami Heat stuff. Like, he is as far away from a Heat player as I could have thought, in the sense of the way his brain is. Like, he's the complete polar opposite of what Jaime Jaquez was. And the complete polar opposite of what their second round pick was, which is why I'm higher on the draft, knowing that in the second round, they got somebody who can counter some of the things that, like, I think it's a feasible conversation to have. Who's going to play more minutes next year?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think it's a good question.
And for the pod audience who haven't heard the news, the Miami Heat selected with the 43rd pick Nikola Jurisic.
Okay, never mind.
And then they traded it in Miami Heat second round fashion for some cash. They traded back 1 selection for some cash, and they selected Pelle Larsson, shooting guard out of Arizona. Which, if you listen to the Wings pod, you already heard about this guy. This was Lou's guy for all of DraftBeat. As soon as he saw this guy, he was like, "Oh man, I want this white boy. I want this white boy." And we're like, "All right, relax, Sabrina Carpenter." But yeah, this is a shooter, really fluid athlete, smart player. Lou, I want you to dive in. Jack, before we get into Pelle Larsson, did you have anything else to add to it, or do you need to go? I don't remember if if you have to go.
I can stay for a little bit. I'd like to talk about Larsson a little bit after Stassi goes. I mean, I'll just keep it short. I like the pick. I think, like you said, it's a good balance of upside and then high floor. Like, if you were worried about kind of the philosophy of the 15th pick, I think this addresses that. This hedges the bets. I do think in the immediate, he'll play more than Ware. I think there's plenty of opportunity for a guy like him on the Heat.
Right.
Like, I do think it's a Jaquez-esque pick. Like, obviously very different games, but like kind of complementary games in some way. Like, Jaquez really is not a shooter by any means, but like kind of a much better self-creator. This dude just kind of like solid all around, right? Like, I think the Heat have historically been very short on reliable shooters who can do anything on defense. So they've kind of had to play this really annoying game of like, how long can we have Duncan out there? How long can we have Hero out there without like ruining the defense? Or like, how long can we have Highsmith out there and Caleb out there without like sacrificing all of our spacing?
Right.
And this guy's a spacer. Like, I think the defense is what excites me most, is just that like it seems like he's going to be reliable on that end pretty quickly. Like I don't see him getting targeted in the way that like a lot of our other guards have been. And I just think the offense is like such a seamless fit, like in their bench unit. And I'm really excited to have a guy like this, because this is just like, this is one of those margin picks that like, if they really pan out, you know, like 23-year-old, you can say limited upside or whatever, but like if he pans out, he is a very, very high-end role player that any team would love, because he just does a thing, or he does a couple of things that every single team in the league needs, and like fits with any team. So I don't know. I liked Nikola. I think probably liked him more as a prospect just because it's tantalizing. It's an upside pick. It's like sexy. It's another guy named Nikola. That's cool.
Never have enough of those.
But it would be kind of a weird, like strange Heat draft if they went upside with these two guys. And it like honestly would signal some weird things. Like I wouldn't really know how to process this. But like Pelle makes a ton of sense. And I think it is one of those picks where like you see it, you see like Heat picked Pelle Larsson and you're like, of course they did. And that's like a nice feeling. So yeah, those are my thoughts on it.
And real quick, if you're watching the highlights on YouTube or Twitch, you can see the first play. This was against high mid. Duncan Pelle Larsson getting by him on the DHO and slamming it down. So he has fiery nature, some athleticism. This is one of those rare white wings guards that they've drafted that he actually does not have a negative wingspan. He has a 6'7.5" inch wingspan, measured at 6'5.25" without shoes. So he's about 6'6" and change. Got tested well at the combine. I was really excited about that. But I'm gonna let Lu gonna sauce all over this guy because phrasing. But because this guy has been obsessed with Pelle Larsson, we're like, oh my God, Lu, shut up. He's a second round pick. It's not that big of a deal. But Lu, go ahead.
No, man, I'm gonna talk my shit here because I called this, and I'm gonna give myself a fucking pat on the back, bro. Because it's crazy. He was probably like the 40-something 50th player I got to, and when I got to him, I was like, why are we not talking about him a little higher? And I understand he's 23. Baylor Scheierman is 24 years old. He got drafted number 30. I loved Baylor Scheierman.
Yeah.
They had the same grade. I gave both of those guys the same grade. I put him 38th on my big board just because of but he's in the same tier as him. So I could, I would have been comfortable taking him as high as like the late first round, just because I truly do not see the percentage outcome that Pelle Larsson does not work out as an NBA rotation player, in my opinion, is very, very slim. And that's an A+ pick if you get a rotation player at 44, dude, you're doing something phenomenal. Absolutely. Not only do I think he can be not only do I think he is a rotation player, I think he can be a starter. Realistically, the things that he does, the biggest thing I put is he has no weakness. Like we stated, he has size, 6'6", 6'6.5", 215, 210, 6'8" wingspan, great size for a 2/3. Perfect. 3-point shooting, 43%. 95th percentile catch and shoot, 91st percentile pull up, just a ridiculous shooter. Every single play type that he played this year, whether it was spot up, whether it was transition, whether it was as a ball handler, whether it was coming off of screens, whether he was a Roman in the pick and roll, they were all good to excellent. Like, this guy is a legitimate athlete in space. I don't give a fuck about his 23-year-olds. He jumped 38 inches at the combine. Like, realistically, he is a shot 42% on catch and shoot, 44% on pull-up threes, 50% on pull-up twos. So the jump shot is clearly well-rounded. Averaged 15, 5, and 5 assists in college, almost per 36 minutes, which is truly spectacular considering he didn't even have the ball in his hands most of the time. But as a secondary playmaker, as a weak, like a weak side, like, you know, they swing the ball to him, he can run a quick action and hit somebody. Cross court passes.
We'll throw the lob on a DHO or
great lob thrower too, which is, you know, talk about a lob threat guy.
Yeah, you need that.
We don't need Trae Young. We got Pelle Larsson. I'm fucking around. But just does a lot of things. And then, defensively, is he a weakness? Because he's, you know, no, he was legitimately very competitive on that end. He was very good at the nail, helping at the nail. That's one of the things I wrote down like 6 times for him. Just really smart as an off-ball defender. On the ball, he competes. He contains people in front of him. He uses his chest well to contain drives. Is he perfect? No, he has some limitations. Like, the 3-point volume has to go up. He's a little bit older. His handle isn't somebody that you would expect to like consistently run an offense for you. But I saw a lot of people talking about Tyler Hero or Duncan Robinson need to watch out for their jobs. I think he fits into the Caleb Martin role more than he does into any of those two, personally. That's kind of the vision I see for him, an athletic wing. Not saying defensively he's going to guard point of attack, but offensively he does everything you wanted Caleb to do, but he does it better.
All right. And in the undrafted news, the Heat so far, we're hearing, they're still making signings and stuff. But the first guy that got a 2-way deal was a guy that we also talked about in the Wings pod. I'm really excited for because that was a guy that I really liked when I was watching Arizona. Second round, I thought he was in consideration for the second round. So did the Heat. They were surprised that he went undrafted. They had him valued as a second round pick. I think this guy long term could be a Highsmith, Caleb Martin replacement as the slasher, versatile defender. That's Keshad Johnson, power forward out of the University of Arizona by way of San Diego State. I really like this guy, man. Just the athleticism, the work ethic, tested well at the combine, 42-inch max vert, 31.5 standing vert. Like, this guy guarded a lot of guys. He's only about 6'7" in shoes, 224, but it has a 6'10 and a quarter wingspan. Improved his 3-point shooting a lot. I think it was something like he made more threes his senior year than he did in his first 4 years altogether. But you could see his work ethic. Like, you could see him make plays on defense. He was guarding Isaiah Collier in college. He was guarding Jaime Jaquez. He guards 1 through 4 comfortably, can guard some 5s, and just plays his role. Like, he's such a Miami Heat pick. Guy will probably almost definitely see some Skyforce minutes before he gets like a serious chance with the Heat. But as a 2-way option, guys going to slash, cut from the corner. You see he started hitting trailing threes this season. Like, that's a huge development for a guy who wasn't shooting threes at all. Shot at a decent clip from the line as well. 71% this year from the line. I really like this guy. You see, and most of all, he's got ups, man. He's going to get some slams. He's going to get some highlight reels. Look at the deflection, taking it all the way, windmill. Like, he's going to be fun. I think Heat fans are going to really enjoy this guy. Jack, did you get to watch this guy play?
A little bit. Like, I mean, when watching Arizona, I think my focus was on Pelle.
Locked in on those white guys, huh?
That's it. Something about it. But I think I like it because of that kind of a Knicks vibe. We're the Zona Heat now. I think it's a cool move. I think, to your point, it's kind of reminds me of the Josh Richardson pick a tiny bit in terms of this is a guy who was a non-shooter for his entire college career, and then in his senior year grew tremendously as a shooter, which is exactly what happened with Josh Richardson. And the Heat clearly trusts that growth enough to invest in it. I'm somebody who does not want Caleb back. No offense to him,
Welcome.
but like it sounds like they're going to bring Highsmith back. I like that. If this guy is like hitting the occasional three, I don't think he's a spacer, but he
Right.
can make some threes. Like, one of those guys that the Heat have had who does not space the floor at all, but like will get left open and maybe hit 2 in a game. And like, you feel really good about that because he's like doing so much else. That feels great. I like kind of what it signals about maybe a shift in the Heat's play style. Like I do think this is like a high pace guy, or he can be. And I know Spo has never been like, I don't know if he's ever been above league average in pace as a coach.
I
like,
highly doubt it.
maybe once, but like on accident. But but like they were so abysmal in transition this year. Like it's not just about playing fast; it's about competency in transition.
Yeah.
And I think like that's part of why like Ron Holland was really enticing to me. Is like that was a guy who was super competent in transition, and like this is a guy who like I think kind of fills the mold of like a guy they want to play, a guy they want to develop. Like there's a clear archetype there for what the Heat do with this type of player. I really just like a guy who is. I like drafting teammates. I'm kind of like I know that's stupid, but like I do think a league transition is probably pretty brutal, especially like going to the Heat organization. They're going to ask a lot of you pretty quickly. And I don't know, like clearly they like these guys. Power of friendship. Absolutely. Like built-in chemistry right there. And yeah, to your point, I think he probably spends the first half of the season with the Skyforce again, kind of like J Rich did. But like, if you remember the second half of J Rich's rookie season, he kind of came out like a completely different player. And there was a lot of like great writing about like the work that Spo did with him, specifically on his jumper, and like working with the Skyforce really allowed him to get into a rhythm. Like this is kind of your ideal kind of undrafted pickup.
For sure.
And I like it in conjunction with their other undrafted pickup, who I know like a little bit less about, but like I know he's a bucket.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think immediately he's more of a Jamal Cain replacement and Highsmith insurance. I don't expect him to play a lot immediately. But before we get to Lou's thoughts, we got to bring in Mr. Flu Game himself, Giancarlo Navas.
Hey,
Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
I'm getting over my COVID.
How you feeling, bro?
You know what? Today was better.
I agree, G.
Well, I saw you were. I don't know who any of these guys are that they drafted, but I saw that Lou was happy. I saw Bronny got drafted by the Lakers. They used to call me Big G in middle school, Bronx Joker in chat. I used to be my middle school nickname because I was fat and my name was G. But I see that they got. I'm not here to derail the show, but yeah, I see that they did. They had a pretty good day too.
Yeah, we're very happy here at DraftBeat Day 2.
If day 2 got a grade from me, it's an A++. Like
yeah,
I'm giving
Lou, you were raving. I mean, they got the Duncan replacement. It seems like
it's a Caleb replacement. Just
it's a Caleb. Who's the shooter guy?
That's Caleb.
I just saw the highlight package, and I saw somebody on Twitter, and I'm sorry for not crediting you. They said all he's doing is shooting movement threes and hitting the roll man, and I'm like, that's the Duncan special.
It's because he's good at everything, honestly.
Duncan special. Why did he
think about Duncan is like Pelle Larsson is not going to foul 3 times in 20 seconds and then give up like 5 wide open dunks.
Right.
And then
No, none of that.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. And I'm deferring to you guys who are the experts. It seemed like Miami just went for talented guys to help them eat minutes in the regular season more than anything. Is that fair to say? And I think that's probably the right way they should have gone about it. But just kind of judging by all the reactions from you guys and my timeline, it kind of feels like that's kind of where they went. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like it.
I think Larson's a playoff pick. Like, honestly, I think
Yeah.
Larson is a pick that you make knowing, like, right before you came on, what I said about Larson is, like, the Heat have so many, like, either or players on the wings and in the guard spots of, like, you're choosing offense or defense, and you're sacrificing defense to get some shooting, or you're sacrificing spacing to get some, like, stops. And Larson, I think, is a guy that you pick specifically in mind for a playoff series where, like, he's way more competent defensively, and he's the type of guy who, like, surely I think is like a minutes eater, like any rookie is, but like long term, the projection is that he is giving you key rotational minutes in a playoff series.
For
And
sure.
Ware, I think, is a
Yep.
long term bet, and like is neither a regular season minutes eater or a playoff player next year. Like, he's just kind of a project.
Develop year. I will say that one of my things, obviously it was infusement of talent and size, but positional size and athleticism. They were so slow, so small last year. All three of these guys are much better athletes than what they've had recently, with like the exception of like maybe like Jamal Caden, but everybody else, they would bring in guys who nobody could dunk. Nobody was explosive athletes.
They relied on Caleb.
Yeah, it was all Caleb. And these three are definitely guys that pop a lot more on tape with their athleticism.
Yeah, Keshad in particular, like he's probably the most explosive vertical. I think when he tested as the best vertical athlete in the draft, he had like a 42-inch vert, which is ridiculous. But the thing about him, man, I do view him as like they gave him a two-way. Let's bring him into the summer league. But I don't think a two-way means he's going to stay as a two-way. Perhaps depending on what he shows in the summer league and training camp. Depending on what
Might
happens.
depend on the salary sheet too, Lou.
Also depends on what happens with Haywood Highsmith, which is what I was going to get at. Yeah, absolutely. Like, because he's built very similarly, has a very like broad shoulders, really, really broad shoulders. I don't know why his wingspan only measured at 6'10". Felt like it was like 7'3", but it is what it is. Incredible recovery defender. Like the best recovery defender in this whole draft class. I'm willing to say that. The amount of times that like he was coming around a screen and the guy had a step and he said, I'll meet you at the rim, buddy. Like literally countless times. Like he did it 3 times in a game in 30 seconds. And that's when I had to be like, I need to calm down with this guy because I'm going to say some wildish things. But sensational, man. Like genuinely, Miami crushed day 2. Day 1, they took a swing for the fences. Day 2, they said, you know what? We're going to get on base as well. Like we're going to hit some singles. We're going to hit some doubles. But these guys got some athleticism, so they can make that single a double, a triple, and a homer. Like, just make an error.
Talk about Bam's comments today?
Not yet.
No,
I thought that was pretty interesting. No, I don't want to hide. I was
go for it, G.
I was watching the U.S. men's national team. I was being a hater. Then I just came on to say what's up. No, I thought it was interesting because Bam today said he was kind of excited he's like, I'm always excited to have 7-foot guy next to me. And I know that some of us on this show, on this pod, have been very pro Bam at the 4. Some, like myself, haven't. But I do think it's just interesting how he's advocated for that. It seems like he genuinely wants that. I can certainly see them going to some of that in the regular season. In the playoffs, I think that becomes more of a question, and I do think their best lineups are always going to be Bam at the 5. I don't think Bam is a 4 on offense. I don't think he can ball handle to the level that he needs to. He's not even LaMarcus Aldridge. You know what I mean? As somebody who can kind of score from the mid range or whatever when he would play next to Greg Oden or whatever. So I just thought that was interesting that is this something he wanted? Guys, I know that you probably went over this yesterday, but it doesn't. I think that Ware only shot 1 3 a game in college. So I just thought that Bam saying that publicly was interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if that affected who they were going to take with that pick.
Very well could have. We've heard him say it a couple times. Even UD was on ESPN saying that he's a 4 and he plays the 5 out of necessity. And Bam, I think Bam out of college was saying he was a 3. But I don't. I mean, with the optimal spacing and Bam at the 5, and he can't take advantage of his handle, and he struggles with his handle a lot. That makes me really question his ability to play the 4, and Ware's as well. He's like you got to be a little quicker on the ball on it. But I'm open to seeing them both develop. My biggest question was like the upside swing, like when you're supposed to be in a Jimmy contending year.
Yep.
That's where a lot of our skepticism came in, because I don't think Ware is a guy that there's a very good chance Ware's not playing in this playoffs. If even those 15 minutes, those 10 minutes, whatever is available, there's a very good chance that Spo would rather go small ball 5 than trust a rookie big. And that's not Ware's fault. It's just rookie bigs are very slow to develop defensively. It takes time, and you got to be patient with bigs. And we saw with Bam himself. So I mean, I'm definitely more open to it. I think it's definitely more of a big home run swing, but with still upside with his athleticism, and I'm hoping for the best.
I think the 4 thing with any of these guys, like you mentioned LaMarcus Aldridge, it was definitely a problem at some point in his career, and it is getting a little windy. Apologies. And Anthony Davis, even, it's about body preservation as much as anything, like especially
For sure.
in the regular season. Like he is an undersized big. Obviously he's a 5. Like I think it's unquestionable because he's arguably the 3rd best center in the league. Like if he's not a 5, he is like God on earth, because how are you this good at the 2nd best thing you're good at? He's also a point guard. And maybe he should just slide over to the 1, 5 Bams. I'm curious your thoughts on this. My thought on the Ware fit with Bam and like in the Heat rotation in general is just anything like this, and even Bam's maximization or whatever is just contingent on them getting a point guard this offseason, or I guess a shooting guard who attracts a lot of attention if you're delusionally still holding on to the Donovan Mitchell pipe dream. But like, and again,
Man with
this
the
is like this,
pipe dream.
I have the Trae Young pipe dream. That's because the reporters want me to. They're like sticking out a carrot in front of my face. They're like, he can be had for cheap. Just go and get him. And I'm like,
I would so take it.
I would love Trae Young. Like,
Then Kel'El Ware will be a Hawk, and it won't be your problem.
Yeah, that is the other thing.
Hawks B for you.
Little gift of the Magi situation. Like, but my thing is, like, if you get guard help, which is what you need anyway, like, I think you can make it work. Bam doesn't have to handle as much, and like, I'm a believer that Bam's going to be taking 5 threes a game and shooting at a 45% clip this year. Like, I know some of us are doubters and don't believe he's going to make this generational leap, but I saw it last year.
He's going to be Kyrie too.
No, I mean, I would be shocked if he is averaging less than a 3 per game next year.
Made?
I would take him. Like, I think he takes between 1 and 2, between 1 and 3 threes per game, just depending on like what the rest of the roster looks like. And I think I'll hit him at like mid 30s clip, ish. So like that development will be there, and like I don't see him playing with Ware a ton this regular season.
I don't either. Jack.
But like I just don't. I mean, we talked about it last night. Is like I don't see Ware playing before like March or like December. No, not March. Like December or something. Like I don't see him being a significant rotation piece for the first like month or 2 of the season, just because I think he needs some time in the gym.
No, I actually disagree with that, because I think that like they just need a backup 5, and I think that they'll try to play some Kevin Love, but they'll be giving him nights off early.
Yeah,
that's
sure. Yeah, I just mean like as a regular staple in the rotation. Like obviously, like there's going to be stretches where they're resting guys and like moving them out, but like I don't think he will be a planned part of like whatever their planned 8-man, 10-man rotation is. until later on in the season, just because like it's going to be kind of a throw him out there and see if he can do more good than he does bad situation. And it's going to be a mess. Like I think there are going to be nights where he's terrible and does not look like he belongs on an NBA floor. And there's going to be nights where you're like, damn, I see it. I see the vision. Like he's got tools.
I have a question for all of you, really. How was he as an offensive rebounder? Because I think that's a very easy area where Miami can improve. They were last in the league in offensive rebound, well, for sure, last in the playoffs. I believe
It's
also in the regular season. They were also they're 26 in offensive rebounding.
He is I think the rebounding stuff is schematic and also pace stuff, but like certainly they could grow there. I think
it's like an easy place to grow.
No, for sure. I think it's complicated. I think the thing we talked about, the big concern with Ware is lower body strength. So like he's gonna get pushed out of position a lot, especially early on. But like he's so long, he's so athletic. He is a little like slippery. And he was a great rebounder in college. He was second best rebounder in the Big Ten, behind Mickey Mouse, Zach Edey. Like he's good at
Where did he go?
Indiana.
Is he? Why does everybody think he's bad? No, Zach Edey.
Oh,
Purdue.
Purdue.
No, like
Zach
where did
Edey
he get drafted?
Memphis. at
Why
9.
why does everybody hate him? Because his numbers look really good. I don't understand.
Because he is a gigantic man who played college basketball and could just like drop step 6'5" white bigs. Like I watched. I'm a Zach Edey.
These are his
hater because-
measurables. G. Imagine.
Yeah, that's why I thought that looked good, and I was like, why does nobody want him? That looks
7
like
Because he doesn't know how to play basketball.
Because he's slow. He's not good on defense. He doesn't shoot. He doesn't space. He's not a great passer. He did. You know when you go to like
according to Heat Twitter, that's how Kyle Lowry looked, and he had a Hall of Fame career.
I was a little heavier. So
Zach
Look,
Edey learned
Kyle
to play
can shoot from
basketball
three.
like 4 years ago, and
Yeah.
it shows. Like it is a situation where he was with a great Purdue team. Obviously, he was the centerpiece of that Purdue team.
sensational.
I'm a Purdue hater, like, and great program. Painter's a great coach. But it is so much like every time you watch him, you're like, that doesn't translate to the league. That doesn't translate to the league. Like he's gonna get punked here. Like he's not quick enough. He's not skilled enough. I think he can be a fine NBA player. Like I think he has the physical measurables where like I think he can be an exceptional contributor off the bench on the high end.
A Zubac
but, like-
level player, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's
like,
good. Hey, look, Zubac has been a
I
starting
think
center.
Valanciunas a little bit.
That's
too.
also really
Yeah.
good. I think those
No,
are like
he's not
No,
terrible.
he's gonna be a solid
It's
pro.
just,
It's just
you don't want a legit non-spacer next to Bam.
yeah, like
No,
his
no,
wear
yeah.
fit is so
He's
much
brutal to
makes so much
watch,
more
too.
sense.
they already
like,
have
he
they already
is-
have one. His name-
I think if you
James
watched
Butler.
college basketball, you would hate him because I
100%.
think that was the experience of a lot of college basketball fans. Is like this guy sucks to watch. Like he is just
he worse than
aesthetically
Bronny?
ugly.
No,
Bronny,
Bronny's-
well, it's completely different. Zach Edey was like the best
Good.
player in the nation.
He played in college.
like won the awards and stuff.
Why did Bronny get
Um,
drafted? Was it just nepotism? What's
Just
going on?
nepotism.
I think 55 is totally fair for him.
I
Like-
gotta be honest with you. I'm
Swing.
very excited to watch. I just want the Twitter experience is gonna make that a lot more interesting than it actually is, and I'm here for that.
100%.
All right, and lastly, the Heat also picked up on the two-way Zion Pullen out of the University of Florida. If you were on our mock draft show, Leif from 5 Reasons dropped him as a tidbit, a guy that we'll watch out for, and he was absolutely right. He snagged him up on the two-way. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch him at all. 15 and a half points per game, 4.9 assists, improved every year from the shooting, finished his career 44.9% this year, shooting 84.7 from the line. So the shooting's there. I've heard great things about this guy. Lou, do you have any scouting on this guy?
Yeah, actually, he was one of the last people I got to, just because I saw his measurables. I had watched the Florida game against Kentucky, and like he was just somebody who kept Florida afloat. So, and they actually won that game, so they won. But he's like 6'4". He measured in at the G League camp at 6'3.5", 202 pounds with a 6'6" wingspan. He's more of a 2 than a 1. He's a combo guard. Had a really good assist to turnover ratio, but just doesn't make any exceptional reads. Like he's a very simple passer is the way I'll put it. Really like ridiculously strong for a guard. This man is a tank. So not the best athlete, but just understands angles, very herky-jerky, has a beautiful pull-up midi. It's probably his best offensive attribute is the mid-range. Shot 85% from the free throw line. His 45% from 3. I mean, it's a pretty number. My question is, most of his threes that I saw were really, really close to the 3-point line. Like, so they're basically long twos in the NBA.
Yeah.
And the jumper's a little flat, and it takes a little bit of time to get off. So he does have some concerns. But he just defensively not the quickest guy either. Like he doesn't guard ones. He probably guards like bigger ones who are a lot like probably slower, some twos. He guards up better than he guards down is the best way to put it.
Okay.
But just a veteran player who they're going to bring in. I'm curious as to why they guaranteed him a 2-way. I would have not guaranteed a 2-way, but considering the lack of talent that they had there last year in particular, I get it. He didn't grade out exceptionally well for me in any one category. Like he was just very even across the board. Also didn't grade out bad in any category except for athleticism. I don't think he's a good athlete.
79% career from the line in college, 37.83 a career 3 on over 290 attempts in college. So good sample size, but like you said, the distance matters. The how he's taking those shots definitely matters for his potential. But I like them getting a guard into the system. We see how 100%. Much that matters in summer league, and even a guy with just experience. But yeah, that's pretty much wraps up our chat. I appreciate all you guys coming in to hang out with us, talk about a little bit about the drafts, guys. Jack, thank you so much for joining us. Lu, of course, my guy. DraftBeat was fun. We'll see if we do it again next year.
We'll be talking Summer League. No, I'm kidding.
We'll be talking Summer League. We'll be hosting playbacks and stuff. Jack, do you want to say anything to the people before you leave?
Great job this year, y'all. I really enjoyed DraftBeat. Best theme song in the network. Just catchy. I've made it my ringtone. I listen to it every morning. Just rise and grind. Gets me so hyped. No, I really appreciate what y'all and Moose have done with DraftBeat and keeping Heat fans kind of informed here, and appreciate y'all letting me talk my Hoosier shit these last 2 days.
I was with you with OG. I was with you with Depot. You lost me with Ware, but I'm hoping he wins me over.
You know what? It's really just that we missed out on TJD. We'll never get over that, but maybe this is redemption.
For sure. And one last time, guys, let's head out with a bang.
It feels like the draft. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat.